From Concord University in Athens, West Virginia, this is Mountain Lion News.
Hello and welcome to Mountain Lion News. I'm Erica Garnes. If you are looking for something to do on the Campus Beautiful, look no further. Here's MLN's Monica Hutchins with Campus Connection.
Welcome to Campus Connections, where you can get the scoop on what's going on around campus. Here are a few things to look into.
Come out to the lobby of the ground floor in the Student Center to make your own bear on Monday, October 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Blacklight Bingo will take place on Monday, October 9th from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the ballroom of the Student Center. On Wednesday, October 11th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., the homecoming picnic will take place in the Valley. Come out and get supper in the warm fall weather. On Thursday, October 12th from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the Valley, there will be a homecoming bonfire. The homecoming parade will take place on Vermilion Street on Thursday, October 12th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. If you enjoy lip sync battles, then come out to the lip sync battle Friday, October 13th from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the gym of the Carter Center.
I'm Monica Hutchins, and this was Campus Connections. Thank you for watching. Back to you, Erica.
Thanks, Monica. Auditions were held for a short film to be made by students and featuring members of the Concord community. MLN's Lucas Berry spoke to the director and a potential cast member. Let's take a look.
I thought it was a really neat experience. I was definitely looking forward to seeing what the show was and what the short film would be about. Everybody read really, really well, so there's quite a bit of competition.
Short film that we're making here at Concord University, Vengeful Soul, is a 15-minute short horror film directed and written by myself. We've got several student actors here at Concord that came out to audition. We hope to get a good turnout for that and eventually make a really good film.
The film will begin production within the next 2 weeks, and after filming is completed, students will edit and finalize the film with the remaining time provided to them in the fall semester. Vengeful Soul is scheduled to premiere in December. Smoking has always been a hazard close to home for many students and even faculty here at Concord. But how close is too close? Wilson Dormitory RAs decided to answer this question in a very interesting way. Here at Concord University, students must be at least 25 feet away from any building at any given time if they want to smoke. Most have trouble following this rule, however, since there are no specific markers to say this is a safe enough distance away. So what did the RAs do to tackle this problem? RA Ricky Smith told us their solution.
Well, today we are having the residents throw water balloons at us to raise awareness against the tobacco and what it means. We have a lot of smokers on campus, and it's been quite an issue for letting them know where exactly the lines lay of which they cannot pass to smoke. So we are hitting them with some trivia, and then they're hitting us with some water balloons.
Some of the trivia the students were hit with were the dangers of secondhand smoke. This happens when a person does not actually smoke but is consistently exposed to nicotine and other chemicals found in cigarettes, causing it to damage their lungs and other parts of their body as if they did smoke. Secondhand smoke can be just as dangerous to your lungs and organs as a water balloon that just won't bust. And now MLN's Lucas Berry joins us in the studio for our Sports Minute to discuss this following week's sports events. Lucas?
Thanks, Erica. Say, is it getting tied over there at the news desk?
No, not yet. I'm more interested in seeing you do the sports segment.
Well, let's get right to it then. We're going to be talking about women's tennis and the football team this time. Women's tennis team are halfway through the season, and as they have taken on Shepherd, UVA-Wise, West Virginia Wesleyan, and Fairmont State, improving greatly with each new opponent. The women's tennis team are looking forward to their future matches against West Virginia State University, Notre Dame College, Fairmont, Charleston, and West Liberty. And the Concord football team took home their very first Mountain Lion win of the season over UVA-Wise after Jeremiah Johnson, a senior corner for the Mountain Lion defense, intercepted a pass and then ran the ball 36 yards before scoring the game-winning touchdown. He also had another interception on the night along with 3 tackles. This left the final score at Concord 7, UVA-Wise nothing after a defensive battle. Defensive back for the Mountain Lions, Charlotte Shepherd, also contributed to the win by bringing in 8 tackles and a pass interception. Defense definitely came to play this game. Keep up the good work, Concord football. And that's all for the Sports Minute this week. Coming up after the break will be Dr. Stephen King discussing a 1 in 150 experience and Assistant Professor Robert Hoffman to talk about our brand new studio when MLN returns. I'm joined by Dr. Stephen Keene, a professor of geology here at Concord. Doctor, thank you very much for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. I understand that we at Concord have the only one of a certain type of machine in the state. What is that machine and what does it do?
So the machine is technically called an electron microprobe. It is a specialized kind of electron microscope, and electron microscopes in general use a beam of electrons, an invisible beam of electrons, instead of visible light. And the advantage is that you can actually look at much smaller details and smaller objects than you can see with visible light. It also provides different kinds of information. And so with the electron microprobe, what we can do is look at very small specks. I mean, like a speck of dust is giant in some circumstances. And so we can take images of that, and then we can also do chemistry, because it turns out the beam of electrons also generates X-rays out of the sample, and we can use those X-rays to examine what kinds of elements are present. So is there iron in it? Is there silicon in there? Is there a lot of iron or maybe a little bit? So we can tell what's in there and approximately how much, or we could set it up for very detailed analysis of quantities of things. It's also possible to move the electron beam around and aim it at different things and figure out, well, what kinds of different materials are in different places. So maybe there's a crystal over here in one place that has a lot of iron in it, and a crystal over there that has a lot of calcium in it, and so we can tell what kinds of different materials some kind of object is made out of.
That's interesting. What's it like knowing that Concord is the only school in the state that has it?
So it's a pretty big distinction. So, and actually it's kind of a distinction in two ways. So not only does Concord have the only such electron microprobe in the state of West Virginia, but it's also, there are about 150 approximately electron microprobes in all of North America. And generally, the vast majority of them are located at big research universities. And instead, we have one at a much smaller, more undergraduate-focused university. And so that makes it possible for us to do things with our students that just aren't going to happen most other places. So
you talk about things you were able to do with students. I understand you took a group of students out west this summer. What was that like?
So I take students out to Oregon every year or every other year, usually 1 or 2 or 3 students. And we head out to the Cascade Mountains. Sometimes we'll go out to the deserts of eastern Oregon. And there are a couple of different kinds of research that we do. So up in the Cascades, we're mostly looking at some of the volcanoes up there. And this summer, for example, we went up to an area where there's a cluster of volcanoes referred to as the Three Sisters, and hiked around and collected samples. We did an overnight hike on part of the Pacific Crest Trail, went in, camped for the night, went up this ridge way up, I don't know, we were like 8,000 feet elevation. I mean, the view was awesome. And you could just see for miles. It was a little smoky because of the fires they've had this year, but still it was a great hike. And then we came back out, and then another day we went up the south side of South Sister Volcano. And actually part of the way it was the same trail that people take to go to the summit, but we kind of veered off to the side to go look at some geology instead. And the purpose of that research is to try to understand the history of explosive types of eruptions of the volcanoes of that area. The previous summer, I took some students out to the desert country instead, and there we were looking at the sediments in some ancient ice age lakes and some volcanic ash layers that had blown in and some earthquake faults and things like that.
Thank you for joining us, Doctor. It's been a pleasure having you.
Glad to be here.
Back to you, Erica.
Thanks, Lucas. Earlier today, I had a chance to sit down and talk with Robert Hoffman about our new set. Let's take a look at that. I'm sitting down with Assistant Professor of Communication Arts and Media, Robert Hoffman, who is also the director and producer of MLN, to tell us about our lovely new set. Thanks for sitting down on this side of the camera for a change, Hoffman.
You're quite welcome. It's a little unusual for me myself.
Now, what can you tell us about the new set? Any of the new equipment we have?
Well, the entire set's been completely redesigned. We took the kind of old, archaic 1990s design set that we had previously and updated it to give it a more modern look.
Do you think the new equipment will add a better quality to our production?
Absolutely. It's going to the whole design of the set is now more contemporary. So students are, I really wanted students to get the feel of coming in here and feeling like they're in a real world environment, so that the skills they pick up in here will translate to skills they get out in the real world, or skills they will utilize out in the real world.
That's definitely beneficial for them, I think. Now, what would you say are some of the major changes that have been added to the studio?
Well, first we took out this background, which was this horrible gray foam brick that just looked terrible. 1990, I'm sure it looked great, but in 2017, it looked really outdated. So we took that out, and then William Bailey, our studio manager, and Alvin White, our media specialist, took out the wall. They put up a piece of plywood and then painstakingly put each one of these bricks up, and then they hung a monitor. And in this monitor, we can change the background to fit whatever whatever production's being done. In my intro to broadcasting class, we do a faux morning show, and so having the changeability of this monitor as well as the monitor in front of the desk, now we can change that to reflect the mountain morning show that they do. Or if it's a sports show, we can change it. And so it really makes the set itself multifunctional, as opposed to be rigidly locked into just news.
With being here already, I can definitely agree we have a little bit more flexibility. But what brought on this reconstruction in the first place?
Well, I wanted a way to make the set more contemporary. Part of the original design of the set was designed for the 4:3 ratio of standard definition. So compositionally, when you frame shots with an HD camera, it didn't fit the frame right. So by upgrading to this, now the frames, the wide shot of 16:9 of HD now fits better with the way the set looks. But really, again, what I wanted was students to feel like they were working in a contemporary environment. Besides just the set dressings, there's been a lot of technical work that's been done. The control room has been redesigned. We hardwired all the microphones to the desk. And this, actually, most of this equipment came in through a donation from Suddenlink, the cable company. They gave us a whole bunch of new lighting fixtures, along with WVVA gave us a whole bunch of lighting fixtures, new camera pedestals, new teleprompters. So all of this stuff was done by donation, which helped, again, upgrade the studio so that students who come in here and learn in broadcasting can actually learn on industry standard equipment. So then when they go out in the field, that everything's translatable, transferable. So it's not like they're working on consumer level gear and then have to feel like, oh, this is all industry standard stuff. No, they get to work on that here. So when they go out in the real world, they're prepared.
Right, and that's exactly what college is supposed to do. It's supposed to prepare you for something like that. And I think I speak for a lot of the students here when I say this is definitely a big help for us when this is the field we're going into. Mm-hmm. And thank you again for sitting down and talking with me and explaining to the viewers, the big changes, because I'm sure, if they watched last year and they're like, oh, well, that changed, that's new. Mm-hmm. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
And that's all for MLN this week. I'm Erica Garnes, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.